Later in the evening, Peaklin drove Rachel to Nick's family house, as the family was having a big dinner party. And while they arrived, Nick urged her to also join the party. Nick took Rachel to his mom, but she doesn't seem to like her. She asked Rachel about her family, which she told her that her father had died before she was born. Rachel later met Astrid and her husband Michael, and while they exchanged greetings, Nick's brother Edison Chang and his wife Fiona walks in. Nick took Rachel to meet the rest of his family, and somewhere else Astrid is shocked to find out that Michael is having an affair. Nick later introduced Rachel to his ma, of which she liked Rachel. Rachel later went to Araminta's bachelor party, where which she met Amanda Ling, who introduced herself as a lawyer to the Young Family Cooperation. They talked for a while and later joined the other girls, as they all went to Araminta's mom resort in Sumatra. Nick, on the other hand, joined Collins to a bachelor party that was organized for him. During the party, Nick's brother Edison Chang condemned Rachel, which almost caused Nick to fight him, but he is stopped by Collins and both left the party. They went to an island, from which Nick reveals to Collins his plan of proposing to Rachel, but Collins expressed his concern about the hidden conflict it could cause, as Nick is expected to stay in Singapore and run the family business, and Rachel, on the other hand, loves her job in New York. Somewhere else, at Araminta's mom resort, Amanda reveals that she is Nick's former girlfriend, and confirms that Rachel may face rejection from the Young family because of her family background. She also altered some words that made Rachel sad. Rachel later encountered Astrid, and they soon found out that her bed was vandalized by some of the girls, as they referred to her as a gold digger. Astrid helps Rachel in cleaning up the mess, and also reveals to Rachel that Michael is having an affair. Rachel later told Nick about Amanda, and how her room was vandalized by some of the girls, but he apologizes to her, and they both later joined the family to make dumplings. While the family were making dumplings, Rachel gave Mrs. Eleanor compliments on her ring, as she had loved it. Mrs. Eleanor recounts the sacrifice she made to become a part of the Young family, and made jabs at Rachel for her American background, particularly highlighting her unwillingness to place family over self. Mrs. Eleanor privately told Rachel how Nick's father had to get the ring, because Their Alma disapproved Eleanor and refused to give Nick's father the family ring. And also told Rachel that she will never be enough for her son and the family. Rachel later discussed her encounter with Mrs. Eleanor to Peaklin, but she convinced Rachel to stand up to Mrs. Eleanor and earn her respect. On the day of the wedding, Astrid opens to Michael that she knows he is having a secret affair. But he blames his unhappiness and the financial disparity between them on her. While the wedding was about to start, Rachel walks in, but Mrs. Eleanor refused to let her seat with them. But she later made her way to the front seat, and sat with a great article writer, Princess Inton. While the wedding went on, Rachel and Nick stared at each other, of which Nick whispered, "I love you," to her. Mrs. Eleanor sees this and was angry. Later at the reception, Nick's Alma and Mrs. Eleanor privately confronted Rachel and Nick. Using the findings of a private investigator, Mrs. Eleanor revealed that Rachel's father was alive and Rachel was conceived through an extramarital affair, after which her mother Carrie left her husband and fled to America. They demanded that Nick and Rachel will stop seeing each other. This startled Rachel, as her mother had told her that her father was dead. She fled to Peaklin's home and remained in bed, in a depressed stupor. Soon, Rachel's mom arrived and explained to her daughter that her husband wasn't a good man and he was abusive, but an old classmates comforted her, and they fell in love and had a surprise baby, and fled with the baby Rachel, because she was afraid that her husband would kill them both. She also told Rachel that Nick had called her to Singapore and urged Rachel to talk to him. When Rachel and Nick met, he apologized to her and proposed to her, as he was willing to abandon his family and wealth to be with Rachel. Rachel later arranges to meet Mrs. Eleanor in a mahjong parlor. And while they started playing, Rachel reveals that she had declined Nick's proposal. She indicates that Mrs. Eleanor has placed the family in an unattainable position. She then analyzed that she is leaving not because she is afraid, but because she does not want Nick to lose his family. She hands Mrs. Eleanor the mahjong tile and let her win, therefore demonstrating her willingness to place family over herself, so she left with her mom Carrie. Moreover, Astrid decides to leave Michael. Michael tried to shift the blames on Astrid, but she confronted him, telling him that he was a coward, and his insecurities caused their marriage to fail. Mrs. Eleanor goes to meet Nick and spoke to him, while Rachel and her mother booked a flight to New York. But while they are in the plane, Nick stopped them and proposed again, but this time, he proposed with Mrs. Eleanor's beautiful ring, which Rachel had earlier admired, signifying his mother's approval towards Rachel. Rachel accepts his proposal, and they stayed in Singapore and hosted an engagement party. At the party, Rachel saw Mrs. Eleanor, and she smiles at her. The movie ends as Rachel and Nick gave each other a romantic kiss. That was all from the video. Thanks for watching. Do not forget to leave a like on this video, also hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified anytime we post more recap videos like this.